Hi, my name's Holly Miller and I work for Stuff and Nonsense Theatre Company and I'm a puppet and prop maker. And today we are going to be making a Pinocchio puppet. This puppet making workshop is going to use materials you can find in and around your house or that are easily accessible to get. And during the video, if you want to pause at any time to do some making and then press play to come back and see the next stage of making your Pinocchio puppet. I hope you enjoy the workshop. I look forward to seeing what you've created. Okay, so the materials for this workshop you will need are some newspaper, some masking tape, some twine or some cord, paper straws, a yogurt pot, some Yoo-hoo glue or PVA, a cork, 2 buttons and a feather, and also some scissors. Okay, so stage 1, you need to get your masking tape and you need to tear off little strips and put them on the edge of your table so you're prepared and ready to go when you make your puppet. You have about 10 to start with, that should keep you going, and they need to be about a finger length long. Then, depending on what size you'd like your puppet, this little puppet here has got this size, medium size yogurt pot on for his body. You can use a larger yogurt pot or you can use a smaller one. It's completely up to you. So today we're going to be using the smaller pot. Now your puppet needs a neck and it needs some arms. So to start with the arms, you want to get a nice long length of twine, probably from your hand to your elbow is a good length, and you want to snip that length off, and you want to, oh, I've got the glue, put a little bit of glue in the middle of the pot, and this is going to secure the rope and the cork. You get your twine and you find the middle by folding it in half and holding it at the end, and you put the middle over the yogurt pot and put the cork on the top and press down. And whilst you hold that, you get some tape that you have pre-prepared and you start to wrap, thank you very much, the masking tape around the base of the cork and over the top of the rope, making sure that your rope still sticks out at the side to make the arms. And you want to put a fair bit around because you want your neck to be very strong. So keep layering it round. You don't want Pinocchio's head to be falling off randomly during a performance. And then we can go round the top, and the masking tape will then hold in place the cork for the next stage. There we go. Okay, so the next stage, if you hold the little arm string up and over the neck, you can then cover the yogurt pot with masking tape. So you hold his little arms out the way and then you just wrap the pot smoothing it down, then masking tape over, and this will help the paint stick to it and give it a good surface for the next stage. So once you've got that nice and covered, take that bit off there, we're going to build the head. And this is made from scrunched up newspaper and the masking tape again. So what you want to do is scrunch up the newspaper and pop it on top of the head of Pinocchio. It's quite fiddly to start with, but once you've got that first bit of paper on and tape on, you want to tape so the tape hits the cork and the newspaper, so that's got a really good bond. And then you keep adding newspaper around nice and tightly, making sure you've still got the neck. Very important that Pinocchio has a little neck, because he's a real boy. Okay, and I've run out of tape, so I'm going to reload. You helping again? Okay, and add some more. Hang on. And when you're putting on the tape, you want to make sure that you always start with the end of the masking tape. If you start in the middle, it normally gets stuck to another piece, or it will fold, and once it's folded, it's of no use. So you always want to start with the end of the masking tape and then pull really tightly round, so you're forming a really lovely shape. So you start with the end, pull it round, and you can see how the newspaper then molds into the shape that you want. It takes a bit of time and a bit of squidging. If you do it nice and tightly, it'll look brilliant. And then you want to go under the chin. You can see how his little head's developing. Okay. So if you keep going and building, and then you can come back and we'll go on to the next stage. Okay, so by now you should have a nice head of Pinocchio with a nice bit of neck, and all of it is covered in, all the newspaper is covered in the masking tape. Okay, so now we're going to find a nose for Pinocchio. So this Pinocchio has got a cork for his nose, but you can use, so he's got a cork like that, you can use a cotton reel if you've got one, or a drinks bottle cup if you want one there, or even an old wooden doorknob. It's completely up to you what you want to use for your character of Pinocchio. And for this one, you have to decide which is the front of your puppet and which is the back. So I reckon my puppet's front of his face is here. So I'm going to get a few pieces of masking tape ready. And I think with this one, we're going to go for the drinks bottle this time. So what you need to do is get your glue, and whichever one that you pick, you want to put a nice amount of glue on around the rim of the bottle. And you look at him for a second, and you want to place the nose on and making sure that you've got enough space for your eyes. If your puppet's nose was right up here, you wouldn't have enough space for his eyes, so you want to place it thinking that he's got a nice forehead and hair space. And then you masking tape again to hold it in place all the way around your puppet's nose, nice and tightly, smoothing it round as you go, and kind of getting your fingers pushing in as well, so you can make sure everything's stuck to it all. Ooh. And then with this one, you want to also cover the bottle with the masking tape, because we're going to paint it later, so the plastic surface won't take the paint very well. So if we cover it with the masking tape, it'll be much better. And when it starts to get to a tricky piece, if you just tear your tape in half, you get less crinkles and it's much easily manageable, or easier to manage, whichever one you want to use. So you tear a little bit off there. Make sure he's all covered. There we go. There's your Pinocchio puppet with his nose. Okay, so the next stage is to put some legs on Pinocchio. So we get another bit of twine, which is we hold it in our hand and we cut it off by our elbow length. And with this one, you want to make sure his legs are even. Oh, it gets all a bit ropey now. But you want to put it around the rim of the yogurt pot, just around there, and you want to make sure that it comes away under his armpits. So his legs aren't at the front, they're down at the side. And then you fasten that on and secure it with the masking tape. Okay, and you fasten it just to where it comes, so the arms and the legs run the same down the side, and then a bit more down this side. Okay, so Pinocchio has got dangly, twiny arms and legs. So what we need to do now, we move that one over there. Dun, 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 dun. Here comes another one. We're going to make some straws. We're not going to make them, sorry. We're going to get some straws and we're going to cover them in masking tape, and then we're going to make some jointed arms. So you get your straw, and the paper straws are really good, but they're just a little bit bendy, and when you paint them, they will lose their shape a little bit. So you need to put masking tape on top just to make them more secure. So you start at an angle, putting your masking tape on the straw, and you wrap around your tape, very satisfying, and you cover the tape, cover the straw with the tape, and you do another piece, nice and tight. You don't want many crinkles in this, she says. And then you run your hands over, and that will give you a much better surface to paint on and will make it much more secure for when you come to paint. So, to make his little arms and the legs, you chop your straw in half, and then you chop it in half again. Okay, and then we'll go back to this puppet, the one that we made earlier. Okay, and then you thread on the string through one, and then you thread another one on. Oh, you're going to help? I don't need any masking tape at the moment, but thank you very much. That's very kind. Should I help you with that? Thank you. And then you want to get some nice movement in the arm. If you tied a knot here and you didn't have a gap in between that joint, you'd have really stiff arms, so you wouldn't have lots of flexibility. We'll just demonstrate with this one. So what you're looking for is a lot of flexibility and movement in the arm. So you want to make sure you have a little bit of a gap before you put your knot in. So I'm just going to put a little knot in here to keep those straws on. And check that you've got a nice bend in there, like that. Okay, and the same process for both the arms and the legs till all of them are covered with the straws and the masking tape. Okay, so once you've got all your straws on to form your arm and your leg joints, you need to make little hands for your puppet. I'm going to show you that, a little wavy hand. And his foot is a little button, which adds a little bit of weight. Instead of it being out of cardboard, having a button at the bottom kind of grounds your puppet, so his legs aren't flapping around everywhere. He's got a little bit of weight for when he starts to, you move him around like that. So you can draw lots of different hands for Pinocchio puppet. I've made little mitten hands because they're quite easy and simple, but you need 2 for each hand. So you could draw hands with a thumb like that, or if you wanted to go all out, you could draw, oh, fingers have gone really weird, a wavy hand like that. But that's much more complicated because they're so small and it'll be really fiddly. So probably best to stick with your mittens, but it's completely up to you what you want to do for your puppet. So you need 4 of these, but as I've done one side already, I'm just going to show you this other side here. So you should have a little piece of rope left on this hand. And then the idea is that you put your glue on one side of the cardboard and you form a little cardboard sandwich, and you place the string so the knot's still visible because the knot is forming your wrist of your puppet, but the long piece that's left is sandwiched in between the 2 pieces of card. Sorry, I didn't warn you, I needed some tape. And then you masking tape nice and tightly. Thank you very much. You masking tape nice and tightly those 2 pieces together. So you need to cover all of the cardboard with masking tape so you can't see it, wrapping it round. And then if you've got any, pokey outy bits or it doesn't look nice and trim, you can always just take the scissors, go back and recut, like trimming his fingernails. Aha! Making it all look very nice. Okay, so that's his 2 arms. So we can now do waving and a bit of crazy dancing. Okay, and now it's time to put the buttons on the feet. So you get your piece of twine and you thread it through one side and back through the other. And again, you want to make sure you've got a little bit of space so it's not touching the pipe there. You've got a little bit of space, so you've got a bit of wiggle room. So all of these pieces have got space to move, and then that will really help your joints move so your puppet isn't stiff in the legs, which gives him more secondary movement and makes him look like he's more alive. And then you want to put a nice little knot in the bottom. There we go. And then cut off your excess. And you want to masking tape over your buttons, because again, buttons are really difficult to, thank you. Buttons are really difficult to paint, but if you put masking tape on the top of them, it gives them a good keying area and your paint will stay on longer. And any bits that are coming off, just give them a good trim so you've got a nice smooth edges. So once all of your puppet is covered with masking tape, you're ready to make a hat. So the next stage, if you want to, is to make Pinocchio a hat. And Pinocchio is really good to have a hat because you can see his beautiful long feather gives really nice secondary movement and it gives him a bit of character. And he's very cheeky with a hat on. You don't have to put a hat, but if you wanted to, all good. So this is how you'd make your hat. You need a white piece of cardboard or a coloured piece of cardboard is fine, but something quite thin. And you draw around the centre of your masking tape ring, and then you cut out the circle, speedily cutting. And cut the excess off so it's a bit easier. Round and round and round. Till you have your circle. Then you cut into the middle of your circle. And you cut out a quarter of your circle. So you've got a little monster face there. We cut out that bit there, and then you fold the two pieces together to form a cone. And then your glamorous assistant will help you with your masking taping. You run a little piece of masking tape down and under, so you've got a really nice, chop that bit off there, you've got a lovely cone shape. Like that. And that's the top of the hat. Then you get your masking tape circle again. You draw around it again. And you cut it out from the cardboard this time. So thin card for the cone and thick card for the rim of the hat. Cut off the excess. You ready there? Yeah. And then with this one, you want to cut a smaller ring out of the middle. So you go in and cut around, and then it will be able to fit over the puppet's head easier. So you'll come out with that, and then you want to masking tape over the joins of that piece of cardboard, like so, and you get your cone and you push it through, so you've got the little hat, and then you masking tape them all together. Thank you. So you run from the back, flatten it out, up and over, and again with everything else that we've done, you cover the whole lot in masking tape because it gives a brilliant painted surface. So smooth it round. Oh, thank you. That looked a bit painful. Smoothing it round as you go. And then you'll end up with a lovely Pinocchio hat. Like that. And again, any loose bits on the edges of the masking tape, just trim them round to get a nice finish. Okay, and you get your puppet back in, and looking at it with the nose, you can decide whereabouts you want the hat. So if you had it here, you wouldn't be able to see. If you had it right at the back, you wouldn't be able to see the hat. So you want to kind of position it in a nice little quirky angle. And again, glue around the edge. Stick it on where you think you want it. Then turn him over, and the more masking tape all the way around to make sure that that hat stays on. So you want to continue round and round, and then you want to let it dry and make sure it stays on. Okay, so when it's all dry and the hat is on securely and you've checked that you have got your masking tape everywhere, your puppet is free to paint. If you'd like to paint it at this stage, that's absolutely fine because you've done a lot of hard work and he's nearly finished. But if you wanted to make your puppet last longer, then I'm just going to show you a quick way of PVA and kitchen rolling him. And what this does is form a surface that you can paint on, and is really a great surface for, you can glue onto it, you can put fabrics onto it, you can paint on. It's much better really than the masking tape because you've covered all these gaps. So I'll just show you how to do that now. So you need some PVA, and I've mixed it with a tiny little bit of water. If it's a thick PVA, mix it with water. If it's a thin one, just go with it straight out of the bottle. And what you want to do, I'll show you on the back, is make a PVA sandwich. So you want to brush on some PVA glue, and you want to tear your kitchen roll. Any type of kitchen roll is fine, not toilet roll, because toilet roll or tissue paper will just melt and it won't work. So you want a nice kitchen roll. So you've got a little bit of PVA on the back, and you pop on the kitchen roll, and then you put PVA on the top. So you've sandwiched the kitchen roll in between. Make sure it's all wet, and then you just have to overlap it a little bit. You don't need to build up layers like you normally do if you're doing paper mache. You're just putting one layer on, because the kitchen roll is such a good strong kitchen roll nowadays. It makes a really good surface and you don't need to build up a lot of layers. So that's all you do. Gently keep reloading the brush with PVA, keep pushing it round so you get it round all the corners, and cover your whole puppet in this technique, and the arms as well. With the arms, it's quite satisfying if you cover the arms in glue, and then you can stick one side down and just keep rolling, and then cover the whole lot in glue so it all sticks in. And then you'll need to leave your puppet to dry. It would be better if it dried overnight, or if it's a nice sunny shiny day, you can put your puppet in the sunshine and he'll dry even faster. So you just need to paint it then, but make sure you don't stick it to the windowsill or anything. Make sure you've got a little cover underneath it. Hi, so now your puppet is ready for painting and decorating. So I have chosen to paint Pinocchio in two colours, purple and red today, and I've given him a lovely little red feather, and I've put some shorts on him and a little lovely purple ring around his neck for his t-shirt, little purple hat and a beautiful feather. But you can decorate him any way you like. You could even stick some fabric around his hat if you like, or make little clothes for him. You can, yes, whatever takes your inspiration. I also found a feather outside this morning, which you could use if you haven't got another feather from a craft shop, if you want to use that. So that's always useful. You just need to put a little hole in the side of his hat, or you can just glue it on there and hold it on for a little while and then wait for it to dry. It's lovely to have a feather on Pinocchio's hat because it gives him that secondary movement again for when he's walking. It's got a lovely motion, and when he's looking at things. I've also painted the eyes on Pinocchio on this one and given him some little red cheeks and a tiny little mouth. But you can also get some wobbly eyes and stick those on if you prefer. Or if you haven't got any of those, the thin white card we used to make the hat, put a little black dot on it for the pupil, cut round in a nice circle, and you can stick those on as well. It's quite nice to have big eyes on this Pinocchio puppet so he can really see where he's going and what he's looking at when he's picking things up and having a little investigation of his world. Brilliant. And once you've painted your puppet and decorated him, He's all ready to go. Ta-da! Hi, so by now, hopefully you've finished your Pinocchio puppet and you've had a really nice time making him. Thanks very much for participating in this workshop, and if you'd like to send any of your photos of your puppets or even a little video, we'd love to see what you've made and what kind of design you've come up with. Thank you very much from Stuff of Nonsense, and we look forward to seeing you soon.